Hello, friends. Hello. How are you? Okay. I am going to give everyone a few minutes to get here. I don't really know who's coming. Hello, ML. How are you? This is the live wrap up for March. So give me 1 second because I don't have all the books pulled for this. And I need to pull the books. So give me a second to do that because I don't own all of them anyways. But give me a second to pull the books that I need for the wrap up. Okay. Hello, E. Harris. How are you? I am not prepared, clearly. Okay. So I apologize for that. Me not being prepared, I mean. And let's see what else I need to pull off of. Unfortunately, all these books right now are like stacked. Hello Tina. So nice to see you. So glad you could be here. I was kind of afraid that nobody was going to show up because I really did not, like, I was not prepared for my March wrap up, clearly. We're real professional over here, you know what I mean? And I actually forgot, March got away from me, so I completely lost track of the time, of the month, and I was like, oh my god, I never scheduled.
Austin doesn't have soccer tonight.
No, he doesn't have soccer tonight.
I know. I said
tomorrow?
to him tomorrow,
okay,
and then he
I will.
said no.
All right, I will talk to Austin. He's probably gonna be the one watching you tomorrow night.
Well, I think he has to do homework.
Well, that's fine, Ari. But you need to go to bed now. It's bedtime. Do you hear me? Yes, Mom, I hear you. I'm going to bed now. I will be there in a little bit to tuck you in.
I didn't choose that in that book
because I didn't read those last night. Sorry. Bed. Good night, ma'am.
Well, I did pick this one.
Yes, that's part of the wrap up. Okay, bedtime. Good night. Love you so much. Sorry, y'all. Hello. Excited to hear your thoughts on your March reads. I hope you are. I really hope you are. ML says
soccer and sprint. And
don't worry about what time Austin gets off soccer. ML says hello to you and also goodbye to you. So come say hi and good night.
Why did you say bye to me?
Because you're supposed to be going to bed. So you can say hello. You can say hi and good night if you want, but hurry up. And then you need to go to bed.
Here. Just for tonight.
You say hi and goodbye, and then we'll talk about it. Are you going to say hi and goodbye? ML says hi and bye, Ari.
Hi and goodbye, ML.
ML said sweet dreams, Ari.
Sweet dreams, ML.
Alright, go to bed.
Is anybody going to be on live with you?
No, it's just me. I'm doing my wrap up. Okay, good night.
How are you doing the wrap up if it's actually split?
Alright, I have all the books pulled now. so sorry. So this month, what I'm going to do for this is I actually have all of the books that I read. I read 7 books this month, which that's not great for me. Like, that's pretty low, if I'm gonna be honest. But I have all 7. So 2, 4, 6, and 7. I have all 7 books physically this month, which is kind of a miracle because I did read a few of these off of my Kindle. So I will tell you how I actually read the books, even though I do have them physically, like from my shelves. I didn't read most of them physically. I used either audio or the ebook version of the books. My ADHD is not really allowing me right now to really concentrate on physical books. So I talk about this a bit in a vlog that I'm currently working on, which is kind of like a week in the life vlog. I started it this morning when I got off work, so at like 4 in the morning. Or no, I started last night before I went to work, and it's gonna basically go from last night last night until probably Monday or Tuesday. I'll do it over the whole weekend. So that's what we are doing. Probably be driving at some point in Europe, but I think I will put you on Bluetooth driving because I am attempting that socializing thing outside of the internet thing tonight. I mean, it's overrated, but it's supposed to be healthy for us, to socialize with people that are not just on the internet. Please let me know if the lighting and stuff is okay. I have the ring light on over here, which you can probably see in my glasses. It is the brightest it will go. Here, I moved it a bit closer. If I need to at some point, I will buy a second ring light and put another one on the other side. Yeah. It's not my favorite thing, but All right, so we will start with my stats from March. So I have them pulled up here on Storygraph. So we will go ahead and start with stats. Now, I did not write usually I have like little banners at the bottom that say what the books are, but this month, since I have all of the books physically, I can just hold them up. So I'm not going to do all that. Yeah, so here we go. So my stats for March, I read a total of 7 books. Lighting looks good and your hair is looking fabulous. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I honestly am in love with this hair. I'm like, everything about it is great. And I think next time that I do it, which will be in like a month, probably 2 months, actually probably like June or July, before I take my summer trip to Florida, I think I'm going to do just the locks part without all the curly hair, just because like Florida is hot. And we're gonna see how we like that. So stats. All right, stats for March. I read a total of 7 books, which is also a total of 3,143 pages. I read books that were emotional, tense, adventurous, dark, mysterious, lighthearted, and sad. But my biggest chunk for that was emotional books. You know why? Because I'm an emotional bitch. That's why. Good morning, Nicole. So glad that you could be here. I read fast and medium paced books, but most of my books are medium paced, apparently. My page numbers, most of the books that I read this month, so 57% of the books I read this month were between 3 and 499 pages. Sorry, Ari came in here. So yes, my biggest chunk of books was between 300 and 499 pages, but I also read 14% of 500 plus page books, which I don't know what book I read that's 500 plus pages, so I guess we're going to find out. And also, I read 29%. I think this is wrong. No, it's right. Okay. And 29% was less than 300 pages. I read all fiction this month. I didn't read any nonfiction at all this month. I kind of failed on that because a goal for me is to read one nonfiction book a month, and clearly I didn't read any in March. But the genres that I read were young adult, romance, fantasy, contemporary, thriller, mystery, and horror. And most of my books, at least in this, I did mark as print. So 86% were in print or physical books. And 14% were solely digital. Now, the reason that I did this is because if they were books off of my shelf, I count them as being physical books. So I don't actually have stats in Storygraph for any audio because they don't allow me to do go put it in the washer.
So, guess what?
Oops, sorry, hit the wrong button. So if they are books that I actually own off my shelf, like all of these are this month, then they are counted as print books. If they are books that I do not own, which this month there is a book that I did not own when I read it, but I own it now. Like I bought it later in the month, then they will be counted for whatever format I read them in. So audio or digital. I don't actually have any stats for audio. If you guys really want those, I can give them to you in April. I did not write them down for my audio stats. I actually need to catch up my spreadsheet, like my Compile spreadsheet, so that I can go through and um keep track of what I'm reading audibly, because Compile allows me to click both audio and reading with my eyes. So there's that. Hello, Reni. So nice to see you. Okay. So all of the books that I read are in English. English is really the only language that I speak. So, I mean, I know a little German, but not enough to read it. So my average rating for books this month was 4.29. I had 4 books that were 5 stars, 2 books that were 4 stars, and 1 book that was a 2 star. So that 2-star book really pulled the average rating down. But I will explain as I talk about each of the books why I rated them the way that I rated them. And then, yeah, that's it. So that's all for stats. Okay, let's jump into the books that I read. I am going to, like I do every month, if you guys want these in a different order at some point during the month, let me know. But I'm going to start with the one book that I did not finish for March, which does not count as a book that I read because I did not finish it. And that book is Final Girls. Now, this is the one book that I do not own, so sorry for that. I can make a banner. Let me make a banner. There we go. Final Girls by Riley Sager. So this book, hold on. So this book was a group buddy read with a bunch of people on Instagram. I believe Reni is in that group, Brittany's in that group, Zoe is in that group. It's a bunch of us. And this was the first book that was picked for this group buddy read. I DNF this book at 20%. It makes me sad because I really did like The House Across the Lake, which is also by Riley Sager. But this book, I did not care about the characters. They kept like reiterating all of the things about like, she was the last final girl. You're a final girl. Like, I don't care. I did not care about the characters. I did not care what was happening. I thought that the characters were very one-dimensional and boring. So I DNF'd. That's really all that I have to say about it. Like, I didn't read enough of it to really give you an articulate reason why I did not read it, other than I was bored. I did not like the characters. I did not care about them. And so we did not finish. That's it. So that was the only book that I did not finish for March, which I'm pretty proud of, honestly, because there was one book that came pretty close to being not finished. So the first book that I read for the month was Killjoy. Now, I'll turn this banner off now. Killjoy is by Holly Jackson. She also wrote the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. This is the novella that is the prequel to that series. So this book takes place 6 months, I believe, before the events of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I got this as a pre-order, so I got it on release day, and I will say what all these books, like what I read them for, if I read them for a vlog. This book is featured in the Ari Picks My Reads vlog. Actually, most of I read 7 books. 5 of these books are part of that vlog. So I did have this physically, clearly, but I also had it as an audiobook. I just got the audiobook off of Audible. I really enjoy this series, and also I own all the rest of the audiobooks. So this just rounded out my Good Girl's Guide to Murder audio collection. So I gave this book a 4.5 star, and the reason I gave it 4.5 stars is because it it really pulled everything together for me. But I don't usually give novellas 5 stars because they're almost never long enough for me. Like, I always am wanting more out of the book itself. So this got 4.5 stars. I really liked it. It answers a lot of questions that you have if you started the series like I did. So I started the series clearly before this book was ever a thing. I don't even know if this was originally supposed to be a thing, or if this was written simply to answer questions that people had in A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, as in like, why did she pick the project that she picked, and things like that. So so yeah, I liked it. I thought that it answered questions. I will say, if you've never read this series, I personally would start with this book and then move on to the rest. That's just how I would personally suggest reading it. But you could read it in publication order, which would start with A Good Girl's Guide to Murder and then would end with this. So 4.5 stars. Very good pick on Ariana's part. I don't really have a lot to say about this. It is very short and sweet. It was fine. ML said, I read this in March after I heard about it from you, gave it 3.5. It was fun and fine, but not sure I'm a reader. Not sure I'm a reader. How needed anything more than the original book in the series fell a tiny bit flat. Who needed more? Yeah. And I totally understand that. Also, was it necessarily needed? No. But I did feel like it answered some questions that we had in A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. but it was fine. It was a fine book. It was for me 4.5. I really went back and forth, ML, between a 4 and a 4.5, and I just decided to give it a 4.5 just because I felt like it answered certain questions that I had. So there's that. And I'm just gonna stack these back up over there. All right, the next book that I read was Never Never by Colleen Hoover and Taryn Fisher. So this was originally not a bind up. I believe originally this book was only offered as an ebooks because they were broken into 3 parts. I don't think you could actually buy them as physical books, but I could be wrong. However, in March, I believe, or late February, Taryn Fisher and Colleen Hoover bound this book together so that all 3 parts were in one volume. I listened to this on audio because it was a pretty easy listen. And I needed something to listen to at work. And basically, this took me 3 days to read because I broke it into 3 parts because it's part 1, part 2, part 3. So I broke it down and I read a part a day. So originally I gave this book 3 stars. On reflection, I gave it 2. This was also a book that Ari picked for her Ari Reads My Reads vlog, and I did not like this book. This book is an amnesia love story. So our 2 main characters, Charlize and Silas, they have amnesia. So the book opens with them not knowing who they are, not knowing who each other is, not knowing who their friends are. Basically, they know nothing. But they do know current events. So they remember things like the fact that, like, some things that were talked about were like they know who Jerry Springer is, they know who Robin Williams is, and they remember his passing, things like that. So we follow them basically in like a Groundhog Day situation but not really. Like, they basically have every 48 hours their memories reset until they figure out why what's happening is happening. This book has a lot of triggers in it. It's Colleen Hoover. I've personally never actually read any Taryn Fisher, but I've heard that she has a lot of trigger warnings in her books as well. Makes sense. Basically, I believe Taryn Fisher wrote Charlize's point of view and Colleen Hoover wrote Silas's point of view. And we're basically just following them through this journey. This book had so much potential, but it was just not good. In my opinion, I did not love this book. There is heavy cheating tropes in this. There's inappropriate relationships with a school faculty member. Like, there's just so many triggers. So I would suggest reading the triggers. Again, I did get this on Audible. However, you can only get the audiobooks from Audible, and you have to buy all 3 parts of the audio separately. So I have nothing really to say about this particular book. I should have said Killjoy was 208 pages and this book was 430. So that's really all I got. I can't really, I wouldn't recommend this book personally. So that's all I have on that one. Yeah, inappropriate relationship with a faculty member, and these children are in high school. I think they're supposed to be like 17 or 18 years old, but like, no. Okay, so that is that. The next book that I read was also part of the Ari Picks. No, was this part of that? Yes, this was also part of the Ari Picks My Books thing. No. Yeah, I didn't know that going in. And it punches you in the face. Like, you have no warning about it. Like, this faculty member, because it's Silas that has an affair with a faculty member. Sorry, my curls are being temperamental. And she, calls him into her office and then shuts the door and, tries to make out with him. It's very jarring. It was very jarring. So, I can't personally recommend this book, but I'm not going to tell you not to read it. You know what I mean? All right, moving on. So the next book was also part of the Ari Picks My Reads vlog, and that was The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang, and I loved this book. I gave this book 5 stars. This book's 317 pages. I originally tried on I think the March or February 24-hour sprint to listen to the audio. The audiobook for me is not it. We are following Stella, who has Asperger's, and she, like, the narrator is a woman, and it really sounds like she's trying to sound like a stereotypical autistic person, and it's very bothersome to me. I did not like it. So I did end up not reading this physically. So there's that. I did end up grabbing this from the library off of Libby, and I read this on my Kindle, and I absolutely love this book. 5 big stars, okay? So, like I said, we are following our main character, Stella, who has Asperger's. She is like 30 years old, and then we are also and she is not good at sex. So basically, she hires Michael, who is a professional escort, and she pays him a lot of money because she is like a data analyst. I don't know. She does something with algorithms. She's very smart. Okay. So she has a lot of money, and she pays Michael a lot of money basically to teach her how to have sex. Well, that turns into like a fake dating scenario because he's like, well, clearly you don't know how to date either, so let's just do that. And it's a love story, y'all. So we know what happens. You know what I mean? So many tears. Okay, I finished this book on my way to my second day of manager training, and I cried in the car. I was just boo-hooing. Like, so good, you guys. This book was so good. I absolutely love this book. Now, I will warn y'all, it is spicier than I thought. I don't know. I think I thought that maybe it would be more like closed door contemporary romance. It's not. Like, it's all on the page, y'all. But this book was so good. I've never related to a female MC more than I related to Stella. I felt so seen in this book. So I could gush forever, but 5 stars, The Kiss Quotient. I highly recommend that you read this. I will recommend this to literally everyone. Even if you're not a person that likes explicit sex scenes, you could skip over them. Like, you don't necessarily have to read them to get like the gist of the story. But I love this book. I got this book from Reni for Christmas, I believe. So thank you, Reni, for this book, because one of the best of March. All right, the next one that I have was also part of Ari's Ari Picks My Reads vlog. I will say this: if you want to watch that vlog, I don't know why this is still on there. If you want to watch that vlog, please do. It is on my channel, and it's also in a playlist of its own called Other People Choose My Reads or something like that. So if you haven't watched this vlog and you want to watch it for more like articulate, in the moment reactions, please do. But the next one that she picked was What Once Was Mine. This is by Liz Braswell, and it is part of the A Twisted Tale series by Disney. This one is the Rapunzel retelling. So we are following Rapunzel as we would in Tangled, but instead of having golden hair from the Sundrop flower, her mother drinks a potion made from the Moondrop flower, which gives her silver hair. And so instead of the ability to heal and help people, she now has the ability to hurt and kill people. That's basically it. So we are following Rapunzel, as you would in Tangled, and you also have, certain characters like Flynn Rider and Mother Gothel, but then we also have an extra character who I don't think is mentioned. Okay, she is mentioned in the synopsis. So we also have a would-be outlaw named Gina, who basically is trying to compete with Flynn Rider, and Flynn Rider and Gina both help Rapunzel to go see the floating lights. And that's the whole thing. And of course, if you've never seen Tangled, why not? It's been out for at least 10 years. So if you haven't seen Tangled, go watch it. Okay, but basically this book is just a retelling of Tangled. So if you've never seen Tangled and then you read this, it's going to spoil things for you. I will say this: Mother Gothel is much darker in this version than she was in Tangled, and then there are other like bad people that are like trying to buy Rapunzel, which we don't see in Tangled. But I gave this book 4 stars. I did think that it was a bit long for what it was. I did listen to this on audio. I have it on Hoopla. I'm really reading down my shelves, y'all. But I did get this audiobook via Hoopla, and that was really, really great. I really enjoyed the narration. I don't remember who narrates it, but she sounds like Mandy Moore. It's not Mandy Moore, but she sounds like her. So it really took me back into just the world of Tangled, which honestly, one of my favorite Disney movies. I absolutely love Tangled. So yeah, I will be continuing this series. My Barnes & Noble actually has the entire set, and so at some point I will be going there and buying all the rest of the books and reading them one by one. I absolutely love this book. I just thought it was so good. So I did give it 4 stars. Again, mostly because it's 512 pages, and I felt like there was a point about 100 pages before the end where it could have ended. You know what I mean? So I did feel like it drug on a little bit too long, but overall, I had such a fun time with this book. So 4 stars. All right. The last book that Ari picked for her reading vlog was How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. So this is the newest Grady Hendrix book. It comes in at 432 pages. I did read this with audio. I bought the audio off of Audible because it was forever long with my library, which of course, as soon as I bought the audiobook, it came available on Libby because that's just how that works, isn't it? But I really like this book. So this is a grief horror, and we are following a brother and a sister, Louise and Mark, and their parents die in a tragic car accident unexpectedly. And so this book is them trying to decide what to do with their childhood home and also all the things that are in it. This book is a little bit gruesome. I gave it 5 stars. I thought that it was well written. I know that Reni also read this book. I think she said she gave it 3 stars. She didn't really, there is like a creepy, it doesn't say it in the synopsis. Yeah, it doesn't say it in the synopsis, but there is like a creepy doll / creepy puppet element to this. So if that's not really your thing, I could see why you wouldn't like this book. I asked Reni why she didn't like it. And I can understand why she didn't, because she didn't really like the puppet aspect of it. But I thought this was really good, like a really good book about grief and the kind of the transitions that we go through while grieving. So I gave this book 5 stars. I don't really have a lot to say about this book. Read triggers. I guess the biggest trigger for me is like the main plot of this book, which is parental death. And yeah, I liked this book a lot. All right. Now I have 2 more books. So one I read on my Kindle originally, so I read it on KU, and the other one I listened to it as an Audible book, but I probably will be re-listening to it this month because it is the book for April for Bessie's book club. So yes, this one does have a bookmark in it because I'm rereading it so that I can annotate. Don't judge. So the 5th book that I read this month was 508 pages, and that is Magnolia Parks. I read this after Reni did because Reni read it. You can see that I'm annotating it, but Reni read this, and her annotations, like the whole book, is just tabs. Like that's all you can see. So I decided to grab this. It was on Kindle Unlimited, and it is a pretty long book. Like it's a big boy. But I have it physically now because when I went to Barnes & Noble a few weeks ago, this was the last copy of it that they had on their shelves, and I was like, I have to get this. So, Magnolia Parks. This book follows Magnolia and BJ. Is that his name? BJ? I'm pretty sure it's BJ. Yes. Magnolia and BJ. So Magnolia and BJ are childhood friends to lovers to breaking up to whatever. It's very toxic. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. This is a very toxic book. Like the relationship in it is very toxic. The way that things unfold is very toxic. This book made me laugh, made me cry, made me want to throw the entire Kindle out the window. We loved everything about this book. Okay. This is probably like the best read of March for me. Probably also actually it is one of the best books of the year for me. I don't know that it was the best book of the year. You know what I mean? I don't tend to decide those things until the end of the year, but it definitely is in top 5 for me for best books of the year. I just loved everything about this book. This book gave me a book hangover for like a week. I ended up only reading fan fiction for like a week. So that's all. That's it. If you want to read this book and Daisy Hates, which is the second book in this series, are both on Kindle Unlimited. I would suggest reading them that way first before buying the physical copy. I will be buying all of the books in this series simply because I loved the first one so much that I need the whole thing. And Reni and I I actually started it today, but Reni and I are reading Daisy Hates this week, I think, or at least this month at some point. So, Magnolia Parks. And the final book that I read for March was originally part of a vlog, which was Mr. Reading with Neva Picks My Reads vlog. And then he changed it to now he wants me to read the entire Throne of Glass series and vlog it. So I'm currently working on that vlog, but it's a little slow coming. I'm going to explain why. But that is Throne of Glass. This is the Bessie's Book Club read along book for April. So if you've not read this one, we read The Assassin's Blade in February, and we are reading Throne of Glass in April. This series follows Selena? Yes, Selena Sardathian. She is the best assassin in the world. You know what I mean? She's the greatest assassin. And she is like 16 years old, and she's a badass. Okay, so that's what we're doing. We are following her. So in The Assassin's Blade, those were a bunch of novellas that take place before the events of Throne of Glass. And then in Throne of Glass, we see her out here doing the assassin thing. You know what I mean? Is she a slave in this one? Yes. Okay. So I had to look at the synopsis for this because I'm actually 4 books in now. Yes, I'm on book 4. I am on Heir of Fire. Heir of Fire, I think is what it's called. I don't know. My book is not sitting next to me, but I believe it's Heir of Fire. So I had to remember which book this is so I don't give you guys spoilers. So in this book, this one is very gay. I mean, I can see Game of Thrones kind of. I don't know a ton about the Game of Thrones. I only read the first 2 books in that series, and I've never watched the show. So, but Hunger Games. This book gives me Hunger Games vibes. So basically, Selena Sardathian is the world's greatest assassin, but she is also currently in enslavement. So she gets recruited by the Crown Prince of a faraway land. Is it faraway land? Probably not. I don't know. But anyway, she gets recruited by the prince of the land to compete against 23 other criminals. So she's considered a criminal. 23 other criminals to become the king's assassin. That's basically what this is. So there's a competition throughout this book. There is a love story that happens. Like there's just so many things. I think this would be considered fantasy romance. I love this book. I gave it 5 stars. I did give The Assassin's Blade, I gave it 4 stars, I think, or 4.5 in February. But this one I did give 4 stars. This one is 432 pages. I did listen to this as an audio, but I do now own the entire series on my Kindle as well because, again, my brain is not really letting me follow along physically. So I want to be able to annotate my books still. So, see, I've marked them. But I will probably be rereading Throne of Glass. I probably won't talk about it in next month's wrap-up, but I will probably be reading Throne of Glass in April, just like right before the live show, just so that I can be reminded of what happened and mark anything that needs to be marked. But that was the last book of the month that I read, which was Throne of Glass. 5 stars. We love Selena. Also, Mr. Reading Waniva is also reading this series, and he is currently on the last book. So hopefully he remembers enough to do the live shows at the end of the month, because wow. Okay. He's just read them very quickly. Now, to jump really quick into the things that y'all care about, like what I read or what I watched and listened to this month. For podcasts, I listened to Anatomy of Murder. So for true crime podcasts, I listened to Anatomy of Murder, Crime Junkie, True Crime Obsessed, Crime Weekly, True Crime with Kendall Ray. Those were the podcasts that I listened to the most this month. They're all true crime. So that's a theme. Okay. And then my favorite songs for this month for March were When I Get There by Pink, which is on her new album called Trust Fall, and also the song Running Back by Ashley Cook. So I believe Running Back is on the album Dirt on 'Em, and I just like that song. It's a love song, and it's like a breakup song, and it's great. Okay, so those are the things that I listened to this month. As far as things that I watched the Murdaugh Murders, A Southern Scandal. This is a documentary on the Murdaugh murders, Alec Murdaugh. So that was that. I watched that on Netflix, and I also watched Pamela, A Love Story, which is a documentary on Pamela Anderson, also on Netflix. I also watched season 3 of, I watched season 3. Did I watch half of season 4? I think I watched season 4, or the half of season 4, in April. So I watched season 3 of Love is Blind in also in March. I believe I watched the first half. No, because it came out March 31st, so I didn't ignore that. So I watched season 3 of Love is Blind on Netflix. So I needed to catch up on that, and then they immediately had season 4 out on March 31st. So like I finished season 3 and then jumped right into season 4 in April. It was fine. I don't know that most of the couples are gonna make it, to be honest. The couples were not great in season 3, in my opinion. Yeah, I didn't like most of them, so it was kind of a miss for me. And then we had my sister and I finished Ginny and Georgia season 2. I gave this 5 stars. I really am enjoying Ginny and Georgia. I don't know that Ginny and Georgia can do wrong, to be honest. But she and I finished season 2 of Ginny and Georgia. Absolutely loved it. And then I also watched Jared from Subway Catching a Monster. This was on ID Discovery, on the Discovery Plus app. I gave this documentary 5 stars. I thought that it was well done, but it's disgusting. So I need y'all to understand. So if you don't know, or if you are younger than me, and so you don't even know who Jared from Subway is, Jared Fogle, I think his last name is. He was a spokesperson for Subway back in the day. He was the Subway guy. He basically had been overweight his entire life, and then came out and said that he lost weight from eating nothing but basically eating like 3 Subway sandwiches a day or something. I think they were called like Deli Delights or something, I don't remember, but anyway, so he became really like big for that and became a spokesperson for Subway. He traveled to schools to talk to kids about all of the things, and he was on commercials. He did a lot of speaking engagements, whatever. Also, he's a child predator. So that's what this is about. This is about the allegations against him. They're not even allegations, they are substantiated. He's been convicted of things disgusting. He's a gross, vile human being. But I wanted to watch this because I didn't actually know how deep it went. I knew that he was a child predator, but I did not know how deep it went. It's absolutely vile. So I would suggest looking at all trigger warnings for this, because there are actual like real life calls that are played, and they are graphic. So yes, that's all of the things. Oh, and then my sister and I did start watching season 4 of You as well in April, but we're not done with it, so I didn't count it as like a show that I finished, but we did start it in April. So that is really all that I have as far as that goes. My top 3 books for March are The Kiss Quotient, Magnolia Parks, and How to Sell a Haunted House. Those were just the 3 that really, really stood out for me. Does anyone have questions, anything that they want to add before we end this? This one was much shorter than last month because I only did 1 month. So, yeah. Also, in case you were not on sprints when I talked about this, I don't know, because I'm reading on my Kindle, I don't know how many of these wrap-ups are going to continue being live. Now, if I have a lot of books that are physically off my shelf, as long as I'm still reading down my TBR, I will continue to do them live, but it's harder to do the live wrap-ups if I'm solely reading Kindle books. By this, I mean that I don't have a physical book to hold up in front of the camera. If I sit down and do my wrap-up when I have months where like all I've read is Kindle Unlimited romance, which sometimes does happen to me, I can at least like add in the picture of the book. But as of right now, I'm still reading my shelves down. I'm just getting the books either through the library or purchasing them as ebooks so that I feel like I actually want to read something. So, as of now, I will continue doing these wrap-ups live. I really like doing them this way. Next month, I will be more prepared with my stack of books, but I really do like doing them this way. I think that it's fun. I think it's more interactive to do them like this. So as long as I have the books to do it, I will continue to do it. Also, if Andrea is here, thank you so much for subscribing because I just got the notification that you subscribed to my channel. Thank you so much. Yes, ML, I think these are so fun too. I think also, sorry to see my YouTube. You've probably seen that the whole time I was watching Swoop. I do really think that these are super fun just because I get to like talk to y'all. You know what I mean? Instead of just talking to a camera. I am working on a couple different vlogs right now. I'm working on, like I said, my week in the life vlog. I'm working on my Throne of Glass vlog because that's a thing that we're doing. Yeah. So if you guys have any like video ideas or vlog ideas that you like really want to see, let me know. You know what I mean? You can comment on videos. You can throw me a DM on Instagram. All of my social media things should be listed down below. Thank you so much. Also, thank you for coming because honestly, would it be alive without the people? It would not. So, that's really all that I have for this live wrap up. I feel like it was a low reading month for me, but also I'm proud of the books that I read. Remember that even if you only read 4 pages, that's still great. Don't compare yourself to other people's reading stats, especially if the people that you're comparing yourself to are booktubers, because really our job is to read books. Like that's how we have content. That's how we put things out into the world. If we don't read, we don't have content. So we tend to read a lot more than like the average or normal person does. I will be the first one to tell you that 90% of my reading is done with audiobooks. So I read typically a lot more books than I would if I was just solely reading physically or with my e-reader. So just remember that, okay? No matter how much or how little you read, reading is still great. So however much you read is how much you read. Oh, I should add, Ari and I are still reading Matilda. We started this book in March, I think. We're still going, but we're only reading a few chapters a month, or no, not a month, no, a few chapters a night. So it's taking us a bit longer to read Matilda. Once we finish it, I'll let y'all know. But that is a book that we are reading. Also, when I get off of here, I will be going over to Instagram to update my stories because y'all wanted to see Instagram stories where I talk a little bit about like the books that we're reading and things like that. Nobody sent me any questions, I don't think, but I'm gonna double check when I get off. And I'll go over there and I'll talk on stories for a little bit. Stories make me a little bit nervous. So I didn't know if you guys even really wanted to see stories necessarily, but y'all voted for seeing me on stories. So on Fridays, I will be over on my stories to talk about that. You know what I'm saying? So I will do that. Hello, Kiana. Yeah, we are just finishing up, but I'm pretty quick this week, so you could go back and watch the replay if you wanted to, and then leave comments down and I will answer them if you want to do that, so that you still feel like we watched it. If I'm going to put a poll up for whether you guys want me to do these on Fridays or on Saturdays. So I do them on Saturdays, I would have to do them during the day, which is why I've been doing them on Fridays. But I will put a poll up for these and see what time you guys would prefer to do it. Catch the replay. Yes, please do. So that is really all that I have for this this month's wrap up. I hope y'all enjoyed listening to me talk about the different books that I read. Most of them are pretty good. Rating wise, there was really only Never Never that I really just disliked. I probably would have honestly DNF'd it if it hadn't been for Ari's vlog, but I didn't really want to DNF a book specifically for her vlog. So that's all I've got. Thank you for hanging out. Like I said, if you missed this and you want to watch the replay, please do and then leave me some comments and I will make sure to answer them. I try to answer all of my comments as soon as I see them, just because I love to interact with y'all. So if you follow me on Instagram, I will be over there here very shortly to just do a quick what I'm reading style talkity talk. And until then, there will be another Stars Hollowathon roll drop on Monday at 5:30 p.m. No, Tuesday. Not Monday. Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. over on Brittany's channel. She will be having her Sprints with Friends, so I will drop the roll then. And then the next roll will be Thursday, probably at 8:30. Yeah, probably 8 o'clock when I have my sprints. So that's really all that I have for y'all. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you for showing up for this live wrap up, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.